All right, so I think we're live here. Check that. All right, let me wait for the YouTube studio to kind of confirm that I'm live. It says excellent connection. I'm still waiting to see myself there. All right, now I see myself there. All right, cool. So let me do an introduction first. So I'm Mike. This is Low Key Classic Movies, my channel, and what I'm trying to do is branch into doing streaming. I did a stream last week, and I'm trying to do a stream every Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. That's the general plan. I'm gonna give that a try for a few months, see if I can develop a small group of people that want to come in. The idea of this is I'm gonna come in with content that I have to do, and I'm going to then cut up that content and use it for the purposes of searchable content. But what I really want is actually to bring people into the stream and have them communicate with me and talk about whatever it is they want to talk about. It's a movie Q&A, whatever movie they currently saw, what they want to share with me, what their thoughts are. That's the general idea of this. The general type of content that my channel does is movie reviews. My actually most famous or successful video is a video about rating movies. So it's not about any actual movie itself. I've also done a bunch of shorts about movies, but I only do those when they're about to come out, because if they're been out for more than a week or two, they're not going to trend and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'm realizing that now, that if I'm going to do it, I have to do the stream. I have to do the short relatively quickly. I have to get it, I have to watch the video and send it out almost immediately. So if I can't do that, then I'm just going to put it on this stream. So that's my content's going to be. I watch movies semi-daily. I don't even really have TV anymore. I just have streaming things. So I just watch shows and documentaries and movies on various streaming networks, including sports. So I do watch sports. So the plan is for me to make these videos every Monday. I'm going to post the invite momentarily for people if they want to hop in the stream, so I can actually have people in here if they come in to communicate with and to have a dialogue. And you also post, obviously post comments to the the comment section if you want to, if it's live. If you're watching the replay, and so for the replays, I'm gonna keep the replay up for about a week, kind of searchable. So a few people might see it and say, "Oh, it's Mondays at 9. I'll try to catch it." After our week has gone by, before the next one comes out, I delist it. Still available to watch, but YouTube's not gonna push it out. And I'm gonna chop up the videos that are inside of it that I think could be independent content, put them out during that week. So in that way, I can kind of reuse some of the content from the stream. But like stuff I'm saying now, it's not a video. It's just me communicating to those who might see this either live or on a replay. So, last week I did one of these and I reviewed 2 movies, and I'm going to chop that up and post those later this week, see if they find an audience. And one thing I want to say now, because I may forget, although I need different backgrounds, so that won't work anyway. I was going to say, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I can reuse that for these standalone videos, but I can't do that because I have my stream background on. I got to switch that background to the first movie when it's time to watch it. So for this stream, what we'll go, yeah, let me go ahead and post my invite to the stream. Join my stream. And what I do want is, if people come to the stream, I want you to share video. So that kind of keeps the trolls out, keep kind of weirdness from going on. So we're going to say, there we go. So I got the, boom, there we are. Can I pin that to put user? No, don't use that. Let me see. Now, let me see. Can I pin that to the top here? I gotta, where is, let me see. Can I do, no, I want to pin it. Can I do that? I don't want to do that stuff. I want to pin a comment to the top. No, stop that. Can I pin? I don't think I can pin it. It won't let me. Well, that stinks. I can't pin the comment. That's a shame. Well, I probably don't have to worry about it for this stream, but I would like to pin it so it's always at the top. It doesn't get lost in amongst the other things. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I can start it. Can I do that? I started. I don't know what that does. Now we'll see. All right. So for this stream, this stream, I'm gonna put up chapters too, so that if people rewatch the stream, they can skip through it pretty easily. So I'm just gonna chapter it up. I edited one last week. I'm not going to do that again. I'm just going to, notice where I know what my pieces of my stream are find the beginning and end, set up chapters so people can easily get through it. So for this stream, I have 3 sets of content I want to go through. So I saw The Creator this past week, starring John David Washington, and that's gonna be my first review. Then I'm going to review The Flash, which came out a while back, but I never got around to watching it. So I'm going to review that in this stream. And then lastly, I was gonna play the trailer for the Marvels as a trailer reaction. I'm gonna try to put it into the stream. I'll set that up. It seems to work okay. I'm kind of low volume. I don't know if I'll get copyright stricken or anything. I'm gonna kind of keep it barely audible volume while I talk over it. Hopefully, YouTube won't hate me and won't beat up my stream. But now's the time to try stuff. When there's not a lot of people in here, I can just go and just see how things work. So I'm gonna go and do that. So let's scroll down here. Let me change my background to reflect the creator. Let's do that. Go in here, virtual background. Let me pull up my creative background. Boom. There we go. Now, how do I want to start this review of the creator? So probably just go into talk. Okay, so let me just do that. Trying to get ready for the video a little bit here. All right. So these are my takes when I was trying to figure out how to start a review. So I recently saw The Creator starring John David Washington over the weekend. Initially it come out a while back, but my wire is messing me up. It came out a while back, but I missed out when it first released, and so I had to kind of catch up and check it out. Me and my daughter did so. Actually, no, I'm talking about a different movie. I said that for the last thing because that was about Gran Turismo. Okay. I'm starting over again. Again, this is why practice stream. This is the whole point of this, is me doing practice. All right, let's try again. I recently saw The Creator in a pretty nice theater. Why am I saying what kind of theater it's in? I don't know. How should I start this one? That's a tough one. Like, I'll just say what I'm gonna say. So I recently saw The Creator. I'd seen the trailer several times in the past. It looked kind of interesting. It's from the director of Rogue One, but I didn't think Rogue One was directed particularly well. I thought it was solid, but it wasn't something I thought was such a magnificent piece of work that I need to see everything that the creators behind it made. But it certainly didn't make me want to not see it. However, I do like John David Washington. I'm a huge fan of his father, of course. And one thing I'll say right now is he sounds exactly like his father in this movie. It's almost like Denzel Washington came in and dubbed over his son's voice for the movie. I hope that's not what actually happened, and I don't think it is, but that's how much it sounds like, especially when he's not on screen, you hear his voice. It sounds like you're hearing Denzel Washington talking and not his son. And, when I saw Tenet, which he's in, I didn't get that feeling. It didn't seem like I was listening to, maybe because he's always in the screen when he's talking, but I didn't get that feeling like I'm hearing Denzel Washington. But this one, there's a lot of off-camera talking. And so when that happened, it felt almost like I was listening to Denzel Washington instead of his son. Anyway, he's in it. It's got robots. It's sci-fi. You kind of basically sold me. So, and I actually did, in researching for this review, I did do some research of the pedigree of the writer and director. And what I found was pretty interesting. So apparently, neither of them is particularly experienced, but they both, not just the director, but the director and the other co-writer, along with the director, both worked on Rogue One. So it's not just the director of Rogue One, like it says above here. It's the writer and the director of Rogue One. So it does both of them. So I did so that's kind of the pedigree. I like to do that for all the movies. I'm gonna do the same thing for the next movie as well. So decent pedigree, but nothing to oversell that, oh, this is definitely gonna be great. So what's the creator about? What's the trailer tell us? So in the trailer, we see that's the near future. AI is becoming ingrained in our world. We're using it for all types of different things. It seems like a little bit of a slavery thing where they're doing all the stuff we don't want to do. But again, this is all set up rather quickly. And within the first 2 or 3 minutes of the movie, we find out about the accident that nukes Los Angeles. Now, we're told, the movie tells us that the AI nuked Los Angeles on purpose for some reason. Later on, we find out it's more complicated than that, but that's initially what we're told. So the AI destroyed Los Angeles, and for that reason, the United States goes to, I think we are just the United States, because they have something called like New Asia. They don't have a specific other foreign country that the AI are in now. They just call it like New Asia or something like that. But we're still the United States of America. So the United States of America declares war on AI. Any, I guess, carriers of AI. It's a little vague there. any carriers of AI or that run on the advanced, I guess, sentient AI that exists. They don't go in a lot of detail about how powerful or whatever. They just kind of say it's artificial intelligence. So the implication is that it's the same as our intelligence, just in machines, because there's no real delineation made. It's just their AI. And so when you do that, and you're not drawing any fine lines, you're essentially saying they've been able to duplicate human consciousness in robots. And so that's what's happening. And so our main character, John David Washington, is this guy that's living in New Asia. He's got a history with the American government, but we discover him at the beginning of the movie in New Asia. And in New Asia, AI is ingrained with the population. It's part of, they have them as cops and as, I think, sex workers, or at least like doing like strip clubs and stuff. But they're ingrained in life. And there's also something called begins with an S, but they're essentially AI that don't look like robots. They have kind of skin grafted faces. You can tell they're AI though, because the back of their neck and their ear is a hole. There's a hole through their head. So they're not like replicants and Blade Runner. You can't tell that they're human beings, or you think they're human beings. They're robots. We know they're robots, but they're just a little bit more pleasing to the eye than a robot. The other robots look like they have like a flat head, like just like almost like a fin from like a almost sharks, like a hammerhead shark. They kind of very flat heads and look very non-human. And whereas I don't want to just call them replicants, but I can't think of the name of what they're called. Is it on this piece of paper? I don't know if I see it. Yes, New Asia, United States of America. I can't think of it. But essentially, they're robots that look more like people, but still are clearly robots. And so the inciting event to the movie is that John David Washington's life gets turned upside down. There's a military raid on his little quiet home in New Asia, and it disrupts his life. And pretty soon after that, again, I'm trying not to do too many spoilers. So pretty soon after that, you can tell this from the trailer, he finds himself caring for this girl that's a robot. She's an AI, but she's her persona is of a little girl that apparently the American government wants, and he, for his reasons, wants to keep from them. And so it kind of becomes a chase movie. And so that's kind of the majority of the fun and games of the second act is as a chase movie. And of course, as things go on, they reach a head in whatever way that the movie does. Again, don't want to do spoilers, but that's the gist of the movie. And that's what the trailer tells us. So one thing I like to do when I go through and review movies is go through the act structure. Before I do that, let me talk a little bit about the acting performances of the movie. John David Washington is not as good an actor as his father. That's a high bar to set. I like watching him, but I have no illusions that his acting ability is relatively limited. And in this movie, he's not given a ton of dialogue to chew on. A lot of his looks and feelings, but it's definitely wanting for something in terms of coloring. You wish there's a little bit more in terms of the dialogue, both kind of the stuff that reveals up about him and both his relationship with the little girl. The little girl is played by an actress named Madeline Una Royals. It's her debut. She's very good for a child actor. She's probably a 9 or 10 out of 10. She's an excellent child actor. She doesn't do a lot of talking, but when she does a good job with her lines. She's great facial expressions. She really sells the humanity of the AI. And I'm tempted to kind of call him an android, but I'm gonna call him AI. That's what the movie calls him. She really sells you the kind of quote unquote humanity of her AI. And her performance is probably the best in the movie in terms of there's nothing I would change about it. Another good performance is Ken Watanabe. He plays one of the kind of AI fighters that resist the American forces in New Asia. Because one of the things that's going on during the movie is America is chasing him through New Asia. So New Asia is his own sovereign. And you've got the American forces and this big monolith they kind of call the Nomad floating overhead. And they're going after them in this other sovereign country and just doing whatever they want. And it's a weird thing they don't talk about a whole lot, but this movie definitely doesn't paint the United States foreign policy in a particularly good light. It kind of says, it portrays the United States of, we're going to do what we want to do regardless of other people's borders, which unfortunately there's historical precedent for. But in this movie, it's not even a discussion. It's just, we're going in, we're doing what we're doing. And we're going after these AI. We're going to bomb wherever we want to bomb in New Asia. And we're not going to worry about it. So that's kind of going on all at the same time. So that's a lot what's kind of going on there. So Ken Watanabe is good. There's another actress, Allison Janney. She's one of those actresses you've seen in a lot of movies. You've seen her in a lot of stuff. You know, like who is that lady? Like, I didn't know her name, but I've seen her in like half a dozen movies. She's one of the antagonists. She's very good. And there are other supporting performers. The acting is generally above average in the movie and definitely helps sell a lot of the drama because this movie's ultimately, to kind of talk about genre for a minute, it's science fiction, but that's the setting. The movie is an action drama. It's got action in it, but it's very grounded in the actual drama of what's happening. Kind of like maybe Platoon. Platoon has its share of action moments in it, but it's very grounded in the drama of those soldiers in Vietnam. In the same way, the action sequences are certainly present, but they're not overwhelming. They're not bombarding you with special effects. The special effects that are done are very good, and it's clear that they were trying to they use darkness and whatever to save some money because what special effects you do see are very good. And I was fairly impressed by the special effects in the movie. But as an action drama, balances those two, I think, fairly well. It's long, it's 2.5 hours. I'll tell you that now as well. Again, my thoughts aren't super organized. I like to just kind of I have my notes generally laid out, but then I kind of just go and see what comes to mind. Anyway, so the next thing, let me talk about the act structure. So generally, if you don't know, movies, you can generally think of movies as 3 acts. The first act sets up the situation, the environment, and ends in the main character sets up their kind of normal, nominal life, and then an inciting incident brings you towards the end. It ends the first act. The second act is the lion's share of the movie. That's kind of the character as they struggle against antagonism towards whatever goals they have. And those goals could shift, but that's all the complications of fun and games. All that stuff happens for lighter hearted movies. You call them fun and games. For something like this, it's more the drama and the complications happen in the second act. And the third act is a resolution. And it's primarily the giant, in movies like this, a big set piece or maybe more than one set piece. So that's kind of the general structure of movies. And so this movie actually has a very good first act. It's very quick. It's got a lot to go over to really get you engaged and involved. And I think it does a pretty good job of efficiently getting you from setting up the general environment, the future, the characters set up. They've got a little bit of a minor, small story to tell as part of the first act before even really getting to the mainstay of the story. And that's tough. So I won't say the first act's great. It's a little long because they have a lot they have to do in the first act to set the movie going. The second act is pretty good. It's complex. There's a lot going on. But once it gets going, it's very agile and moves along pretty well. So I didn't have a lot of complaints about how the second act went. There's some good moments. Again, I've already talked about some of the acting and some of the scenes I thought maybe were a little bit undercooked in terms of, especially between John David Washington and the little girl, that I thought they could have done a little bit more with. They tried to do a lot with looks and limited conversation. I think they could have done a little bit more with that. And then the third act, I thought was a very emotional, fulfilling third act. Brought some tears to my eyes. I thought that I connected with the movie, and on that at least the basic level of emotional connection, it worked. And some movies for me don't do that. I watch them and I'm just disconnected the whole time. This movie for me drew me in successfully, and the conclusion was emotionally effective and fulfilling. This is not a movie that's trying to particularly trick you. It's really just about selling you on the drama of the characters and making you care about what's happening to them. And I think it does a pretty good job. I don't have a lot else for this movie in terms of discussion. I kind of went through it as I was going here. I'll just say 2.5 hours. It's a hard sell to ever rewatch. Usually when I recommend a movie, I give something 7 or above. I put it in the highest tier of movies I would recommend to people. I usually like to feel like I rewatched them at least once, if not more than once. This one, I'm not sure if I could because it's so long and it is a lot of dramatic looking. And I think if I had a significant other and they particularly hadn't seen it and wanted to see it, I probably would sit with them because I know it's a good movie. But on my own, I'm kind of doubtful. And so for that reason, I still give it a 7 out of 10. It's still in that top tier of movies I recommend, but it's only a 7, and that's on the lower end of 7s because it is, I think, although I don't think it could have been any shorter, it's just a difficult story they were trying to tell. And I think on a scene level, the scenes are a bit hit and miss. The overall story is excellent. The acting's excellent. But I do think that because of the again, moment to moment scenes kind of being hit or miss sometimes. And, oh yeah, here's the one other thing. I almost forgot about this. There's some plot holes. If you're one of those people that gets really stuck on movies not entirely making sense or starting to explain things, but then stopping the explanations at some point, this movie may bug you a little bit. There's some turns that happen that aren't particularly well explained. They just happen and you just have to accept them. And I think there'll probably be some videos that come out on YouTube of people making fun of these relatively large plot holes for a movie that is this serious, that takes itself this serious. You have to be careful about how many plot holes you have. When it's a sillier movie, like I'm gonna review The Flash later in this stream, when you're dealing with that, who cares if there are plot holes in it? It's not, you're not, that movie's tone is such that that's the least of your problems. But this movie really takes itself as a serious drama with action in it. And when you do that, things that don't make sense or that go unexplained are a little bit more problematic. And again, I don't want to do this isn't a debunking video. I don't want to spoil things. But because of that, that hurt the movie a little bit as well. Is that it snaps you out of the suspension of disbelief. And this is a sci-fi movie that's critical of suspension of disbelief. And this movie was a little bit hurt me a little bit there. The fact that I had some of the issues with the plotting and some of the things that happened not being really explained very well and seeing kind of questionable, like, why is that happening? Or I don't understand how that person could do that. So you get some of that going on. So, but that's my review of The Creator. I think if you saw the trailer and you think it looked good to you, then I recommend it. But understand that it is a movie with some flaws in it. I just think that it's good enough that it's still worth recommending despite those flaws. Well, there you go. Oh, and now I can do the thing that I was going to do. So, so if you got this far in the video, thank you for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing, and stay tuned for more. And stay tuned for more videos from Low-Key Classic Movies and more live streams every Monday. There you go. So that's that. I'm gonna get a drink because I'm getting thirsty. It's gonna be weird though because it's just a special effect when I do that. Whoa, because I have a green screen. So, and this is a Pellegrino, so it's green. So you know it does weird stuff. It disappears. Oh look, now you can see that you can recreate it. Look at that. That's wild. All right. I'm gonna try to drink quietly because this mic picks up everything. I hope that wasn't too bad. But all right. That's that. Here we go. So let's go to. Oh, you know what? That's what I did. I didn't change this. That's what confused me. That's what confused me. I mistyped something. All right, let me bring up the other piece of paper. Oh, and change my background real quick. I don't see anybody in the stream right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just switch to my other video. What are we going to do this here? Virtual background. Let's switch to the Flash. Boom. All right. There we go. All right. Oh, I knocked something over. Something just fell on the floor. Oh, that's the top for my camera. Move that back so I don't step on it, put dirt on it and stuff. Okay. It's a long time coming, but I finally saw The Flash starring Ezra Miller and a bunch of cameos from the current and former DC universe. And my gut reaction to it was that is a silly movie, more like in terms of tone, the Suicide Squad than any other movie in the DCEU. It doesn't really fit in the kind of the Snyder murderverse that was kind of created by Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, even the first Aquaman movie. None of those really fit with the tone of this movie. This movie, even Justice League, a little bit maybe because you know, obviously Ezra Miller's Flash is in Justice League, but even then he kind of seemed out of place. This movie was closer to the TV show The Flash, which I saw and liked a fair amount, than it is any of the DCU movies, except maybe the Suicide Squad, which is, even that's a little bit darker than this. Even the second one, not the first one, the second one that was done by James Gunn. Even that one I think was a little bit more serious. This one is it has a darkness to it, but what's good about it is the light parts. And when it tries to go dark, it's more eye rolling than anything else. So that's my general gist of it. Now, how good it is, we'll get into that. But that was my general take from it. If you watch this movie, you take nothing else from this video, take from that this is not a movie that really fits at all with the tone of the DCEU. It's kind of representing almost the end of it, but it's almost like an offshoot. And once I tell you about the people that made it, that's going to make a bit more sense. So the director, it's interesting. So this is quite a kind of strange team of writer and director. So the director is a man named Andy Muschietti. He directed his big break was directing the horror movie Mama. Not, and that's the one where there's like the little girl in the house and she's talking about her mama. And I guess in the trailer, eventually the trailer reveals her mama's a monster or something. That movie, that was this guy's like big break. I never saw that one. I've seen plenty of slasher and horror movies, but I didn't see that one. That's his guy's big break. Then he did both of the It Part Two movies, which I liked to some extent. Both of those, he did those. That's kind of his portfolio. He's done some other stuff too, but those are things that stood out for me when I looked at what he's done. That Mama was his break, and then It Part Two. The screenwriter was a woman named Christina Hodson. Her big break was, I think, Bumblebee, which I think is probably the best Transformer movie. At least in my opinion, was a Transformer movie I enjoy watching the most. It's my daughter liked it a lot. She actually one of the few movies she has on her bookcase as part of her kind of collection that she has of movies, which will probably never get that big now that they're going to stop selling them in a few years everywhere. But that's one of the few movies that is big for her. We saw the one after that, which wasn't as good, but Bumblebee was very good. She wrote that. She also, I think, from Bumblebee, got an opportunity in the DCEU or the DC, movies universe. She wrote Birds of Prey, the Harlequin, the kind of movie, the Tales of Harlequin movie, which had very mixed reviews. So I kind of like that movie a little bit more than some people did. I thought it was kind of enjoyable enough for what it was. The biggest problem I had with it was the third act. I thought wasn't that good. I thought the kind of the final set piece and stuff was kind of goofy. But a lot of the other stuff, because I'm a big Margot Robbie fan, and I dug what she was trying to do with it, and I had a fairly good time with it. So seeing her on it doesn't surprise me. However, what I think it did, their combination, was it created kind of a strain because in her, a lot of the dialogue, you can tell comes from someone that wrote Bumblebee and Birds of Prey. But on the other hand, the movie, there are a lot of sequences of the movie that look more like in kind of color and tone more like It or Mama. But it doesn't really work because the dialogue and the overall story kind of overtake that. So in theory, when you start watching it, well, all right, so let me stop there. Let me roll it back a little bit. So if you take having said that, if you take nothing else away from the Flash, first take away the fact that the tone doesn't really match the DCEU. The second thing not to take away from it is the CGI is hideous. This is the worst CGI since we're talking like Marvel pre-Avengers. I think it's because there was so much of it that they had to go in the cheap. But all the characters look like little rubber men bouncing around. You can't take any of the action scenes seriously. There's CGI on people's faces. They de-aged Ron Livingston, who plays the Flash's father. They de-aged him, which I think wasn't even necessary. Just put some was it base on him or something, and you're good. But I think they CGI'd his face to like make him look younger, and it's terrible. It's unnecessary. But there's CGI in every scene. They're probably, what is that? I heard that Endgame had 2,000 CGI shots in it. That sounds about right for this. This might even be more. This might be 3,000 CGI shots. They're all over the movie. I think in the scene where he's in his costume is CGI. I'm not even sure if his costume is real. His costume may be completely CGI. There's one scene where he's in the jet and you see his face, and his face, it seems like it's pushing out of his. I might be careful I mess up my mic, but his face is almost mashing out of his mask. Like the CGI, they messed it up and put the mask too deep in his face. So it feels like the bottom of his face is pushing out of the mask. Like it's so weird. So the CGI is absolutely horrendous in this movie. And there are people that will ruin the entire movie for them. It didn't for me, but it's a huge hit. And so you're watching this movie, and within about 10, 15 minutes, because early in the movie, there's somebody with a cape. The cape is hideous. It looks terrible. It looks so fake. It looks worse than the capes in like The Dark Knight or even other DCEU movies like Justice League or Batman vs Superman. It looks worse than that. It looks absolutely terrible. And so you get 15, 20 minutes of this movie and you know it's not going to be that good. The only question is how bad it's going to be. Is it worth sitting through? That's how quickly you get to this movie at this point. I'm dipping into my acts a little bit. So let me go back and talk about the movie and the story a little bit. But the first act, I'll tell you that the first act is subpar, and it starts making you doubt whether or not you should continue to watch the movie. The whole, the initial action. It starts up the action sequence pretty early on. That, as long with the character stuff as well, it's a mess, and it makes you challenge. It makes you think about not watching it anymore. Anyway, let me roll back a little bit. What's the Flash about? So, as we know from some of the previous DCEU movies, or if you read any Flash comic books, his father was put in jail for killing his mom, and he believes his father's innocent. He knows his father's innocent, and so the movie starts off with the father's case looking to be probably hopeless, and the likelihood of his father is not going to be able to get out of jail and will be stuck in jail. Now, one thing that I'll say this about the way they did the Flash, the origin is, at least of the murder, that part of the origin, is they have the son kind of witness almost to his father's innocence. That is to say, he hears his mom screaming, and as far as a time frame, it seems almost impossible for the father to have done. I mean, it's possible. He doesn't literally witness his father not do it, but the way they show it in the movie, it doesn't look as if it's even really possible. It would have been like his dad had to be the Flash or almost for it to happen. Like, it's barely, so there's almost no doubt. And to me, if there's almost no doubt, one thought that crossed my mind is just break him out of jail. You're the Flash. You know he's innocent. Just break him out of jail. He steals from other people on the street. Like, he commits crimes that are, minor crimes, obviously, like stealing stuff, stealing a hot dog or a candy bar. Although he asked one person for a candy bar, but he steals someone else's food. So those ethics are a little bit flexible. But clearly your father's innocent. If you know it for almost 100% fact, just take him out of jail. Was Batman gonna track you down? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? He knows you didn't do it. Maybe he would. It'd be Batman versus Flash. I don't know. But to me, it seems like he could just break him out of jail and just take him home. So anyway, that was one thought that crossed my mind once I saw how they showed it in the movie. I'm like, come on, man. Anyway, so back to the story from the trailer and from the first act. So he sees this and says, I want to do something about it. And then he discovers, kind of organically, which is also kind of goofy. He just discovers he can go back in time, not really on purpose. He just gets upset, then finds himself a little bit in the past. Says, oh wow, I can go in the past, which is like, really, like, is that easy? That's a little bit. I guess they had to do it that way because Ezra Miller plays the Flash very young, but it's kind of ridiculous that he stumbles into going back in time. But anyway, that's what happens, and that's where I'm gonna leave it all. That's about 10 minutes into the movie, and I don't want to do spoilers. So he decides to go back, as you know from the trailer. He decides to go back in time and uh, prevent it from happening, and that sets off what is essentially a time travel movie. That's what the Flash basically is. It's a movie. And they make references to Back to the Future, and it's more like Back to the Future than anything else. Kind of in tone as much as anything else, but in terms of timelines and trying to fix this, or Butterfly Effect. It's kind of like almost a mashup of like Butterfly Effect and, I don't know, Superman. I don't know, or a mashup of Butterfly Effect in a superhero movie. I'll just say that. That's what it's the most like. So he, hmm. So that's the movie you're getting when you go in there. For performances, let me talk about performances real quick. Then I'll go to the acts and kind of what I saw, what I came away from the movie from. So for performances, I did not like Ezra Miller as Flash very much. People talked about using the actor from the TV show, and I was all for that. I was like, yeah, use that dude, because I liked him in the Flash TV show. But I have to say, in this movie, Ezra Miller playing, he ultimately, you see this in the trailers, he plays two versions of himself. He does a really good job. I was a little bit impressed, even though I think strange person in real life. I was a little bit impressed by his performances in this movie. So I have to say that he's got good comic timing, I think, and I have to say, like, yeah, his performance was pretty good. What else we have here? So I think Sasha Calle played Supergirl. She doesn't have a lot to do. She's pretty to look at. She does okay, but there's not a lot to really do with there. The guy plays Zod. He's cool. Michael, I think it's Michael Shannon. Let me see. Ron Livingston plays his dad. I mentioned that. He's okay. Oh, but the big thing is this: Michael Keaton kills as Batman. Michael Keaton does such a good job. Michael Keaton is saved this movie from being in my bottom tier. I'll go ahead and say that. It's not in my bottom tier, and that's because of Michael Keaton and a little bit of Ezra Miller. He has one or two scenes where he kills it as both flashes, but Michael Keaton does a better job than this movie deserved. He does it really good, and his acting performance is excellent. And to me, it makes the movie worth seeing just because of that. The Ezra Miller stuff is cool. I don't know if that quite would have gotten it out of the bottom tier by itself. Michael Keaton does it, despite the other flaws I'm going to talk about more in a minute. But he is really, really good, and it makes it. I'm so glad that they put him in this movie, even though they made a lot of mistakes otherwise. He's really good. So the acts. So let's talk about act structure. So the first act, hold on one second. Yeah. Let's talk about act structure. So the first act, as I said, subpar, has an opening action sequence, which is kind of boring, doesn't really work. There's a pieces of it that are okay, but overall, it's kind of blah and it goes on too long. Besides that, a lot of the other setup is okay, but is unremarkable. Some of the family stuff you see in the third act, you see his father, and he meets goes with father in prison. That's okay. There's some other family stuff pretty soon after that you see in the trailer of him meeting his mom, who's not dead, obviously, at that point. And it works. It's okay, but it's not anything. If anything, it's a little below average. It's a little eye rolling. The whole family dynamic stuff, like going for him, he's so happy to see his mom, doesn't really work that well. Um, but then we get kind of in the second act, and we get the two Ezras, and they play off each other. And even though you could almost tell in every scene which Ezra was the real one and which one was the CGI one that was put into the scene, it still works for the most part. The Ezra and Ezra scenes, the two scenes that work are the Ezra in this movie. There are essentially two scenes that work. The Ezra and Ezra scenes work, and the Michael Keaton scenes work. That's about it. Any scene that's not one of those two things doesn't work. There's a girl that plays like his crush from college. She's in a few scenes. She has nothing to do. Nothing wrong with her, but she really has nothing to do. But those are essentially the two, and most of those scenes are in the second act, which is quite enjoyable. And I was watching the second act thinking, wow, is this movie going to come back and actually be good? So it had me doubting my doubts at some point in the second act. But then the third act happened. And once you kind of realize where it's going, and it's in the second or third act, but you know there's a big action sequence, and there's pieces of it in the trailer. That's not very good, and people have poked holes in certain aspects of it, but it's kind of half dull. Again, there's more dull action sequences. There's a couple action moments that are okay, but considering how much time they spent on these heavily CGI'd action sequences, most of them are boring, and you're jarred out of it by all the bad CGI. It's pretty big mess. So that stuff's kind of going on in the third act as well as in the second act. And then once you kind of realize the type of ending they're going to do, it's kind of an eye rolling thing. It's really it's not satisfying for me, at least. It's okay. Again, Ezra Miller does a little something to kind of help save it towards the end. There's a good moment later on that, acting wise, like a well done moment that saves it a little bit, but not enough. There's too much of this movie that is, if not unwatchable, barely watchable, and very little that you write home about or take away from it. Again, aside from Michael Keaton and two or three Ezra Miller dual flash scenes. Those are the highlights of it. The rest of it you can kind of throw in the garbage pan. So coming away from the movie, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. It's at the low end of the mid tier. I don't regret watching it. To me, the bottom tier is essentially movies I regret watching unless they're so bad they're funny, which is this weird anomaly that makes it hard to grade movies, because they're movies that are actually pretty enjoyable because they're so terrible, like The Room. But this isn't that. This is more so just inept and kind of a mess with a few highlights by a few performances and some decent writing at points. But it's pretty low, and I'm kind of glad I waited and didn't rush to see it. I think my gut was right on that, because that's one of the reasons why I see almost every superhero movie that comes out just about in the last 20 years. This one took me, what, 6 months to watch. There's a reason for that. So that's my takeaway from this. If you got this far, I appreciate you watching. Please consider liking and subscribing, and look for more videos from Low Key Classic Movies, including streams every Monday. Thanks for watching. All right, so that's part 2. And now, oh wow, I didn't get a single person to hop in. I think aside from one person for like 3 seconds. Dang, that's tough. Well, it's gonna take time. Once I get my videos chopped up, I'm hoping I can get people watch, get some subscribers from them. Some of those people come in, because right now I got 50 subs. So what are the chances they're gonna be online looking for a stream to watch at 9 o'clock Pacific time? So that's tough. But anyway, the last thing I want to do, and I hope this doesn't mess my stream up or get me copyright stricken, is I have the trailer for the Marvels coming out. So I have the trailer. So the Marvels are coming out soon. Unfortunately, it's not looking too good. Everybody's seen it at this point, so this is not a first reaction. This is just me watching it and kind of giving you the impressions I got from watching it. But these impressions mostly are pre-existing ones. I am not watching this for the first time. It's funny, I did find another trailer, like a 1 minute one they just released. But I figured it's a chop up of this thing. This is the longer 2-minute one. I'm going to play this one. Very low audio. So hopefully copyright doesn't kick in. If there is a problem with copyright, which there shouldn't be, because they want you to promote the movie. So that should be fine. But I also don't want my voice conflicting with the voice in the stream. So here we go. Let me pop this on here. Let me switch the stream. Let me add it to the stage. There it is. And we are going to, let me see. I think I had the audio a little bit. And we go and pop it up. The first few words of this video are seared into my brain about the Milky Way galaxy and the one-eyed, whatever, their little banter back and forth, man. It makes me kind of cringe every time I listen to it now. But anyway, we'll bear with it. Here we go. I think that looks good. Ooh, a face. Most of the trailers is her making faces. Man of Intrigue. There it is. Ooh. I do like that cat though. See, I like Captain Marvel, the first one, actually more than most people did. I didn't mind her, and I like Sam Jackson in it a lot. I do not like this music. She's underwhelming as a villain. That's one of the biggest problems with this trailer, is she is not a very good villain. What's this barren background? This is like something on DCU. Now, she's actually really good in this trailer, and I never saw the Miss Marvel series, and she seems actually kind of charismatic. Whatever her character's name is. Oh, another face. What's happening? She's confused. Every picture of her being confused. She's confused again. Everything is her being confused. I kind of like her. That Captain Marvel's kind of cool. Oh, another face. Oh, she's concerned. I mean, that same face. Look, she's actually acting. The black woman's actually acting. I like her though. I'm gonna see it just for her. I think Kamala Khan, I think is her name, is something like that. I could totally show you. See, I kind of dig her. This is weird though, because I don't know. That scene seemed odd to me. I like that face right there she makes. She is scary looking there, but she still seems mid for a supervillain. Oh, another face. Why is she in a ship? These gun sounds are terrible. The little pium pium. Like, come on, man. This is Marvel. That's the gun sounds you give me? Come on. And I am not looking forward to a Bollywood dance sequence. No thanks. Those are kind of cool, but they're probably in like one scene. No more teams. I kind of dig her, yo. I'm feeling her. She's too powerful. She has a Superman problem. That's why they had to like switch her powers out, because like it's hard to write Superman. And she's essentially like, oh, she's smiling. That's a different face. That's good. Why do I think that's the third act? I hate when I see the trailer and I feel like I'm watching the third act in it. And of course, this is in the teaser and in the trailer. This is a good moment, but I've seen it like 15 times now. So when I watch it in the movie, it's going to do nothing for me. And she's confused again. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this does not look like a very good movie. I will probably see it because I'm a glutton for punishment, but it does not look good for the reasons I just talked about. I do like Kamala Khan. I look forward to her. The black girl, I remember her from Wanda in WandaVision. She's okay, but I'm not sure how good she is. And the actress who plays Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. her acting wears on me the more and more I see it. I didn't mind her in Captain Marvel that much, but I see what now I kind of see what other people didn't like about her. And now I kind of get it. So let me take this away. Oh, I still got the flash in the background, but oh well, that don't matter. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and kind of wrap this up. So thanks for watching my trailer review. If you like this video, please subscribe to Low Key Classic Movies. I do movies. I do. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to Low Key Classic Movies, liking the video if you liked it, if you got this far, and look for more videos from me from the channel, and also for my streams every Monday night at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for watching Low Key Classic Movies. There you go. So that's my third ending. So it is weird though. I have the flash behind me while I'm watching. I should have put this other one up. I had it too. See, I get nervous and whatever when I'm doing these. And look at this. I should have put up, I have my other backgrounds. I have my general background. Boom. That's my general background. Look at that. See, I got some of my low-key classics back here. I got Heat, Last Boy Scout, Groundhog Day, Spaceballs, Empire Strikes Back, all these classics. Beverly Hills Cop 2, which is actually over here because I'm looking at a screen that's reversed. Anyway, so now I think I'm going to roll out my stream. I don't see anybody in the chat right now, so I'm going to close out my stream. I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to tweak the thumbnail a little bit so people don't think it's live anymore. And I'm going to chop out these videos and make a couple, maybe some people to find in search. Anyway, if you catch this on the replay, I appreciate you watching, and look for more content from Low Key Classic Movies. Thanks for watching.